Welcome to the Peak Season Podcast, the show where we dive deep into all things short-term rentals, hospitality, and how to run your property like a pro. I'm Luke.
And I'm Tyler. We're two super hosts turned co-hosts who help owners transform their vacation homes into thriving businesses.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Peak Season Podcast. Today, we're going to be talking about the Airbnb algorithm, how to get found, and fully booked. So together, we've hosted thousands of guests, and one of the biggest lessons we've learned is this. Success on Airbnb isn't random, it's strategic. How you doing today, Tyler?
Doing great, Luke. Thanks for asking.
Good. So if you've ever wondered why some listings seem to always be fully booked while others sit idle, this episode is for you.
Yeah, today we're going to break down the Airbnb algorithm and how it really works. So what impacts your visibility and what exact steps you can take to boost your rankings and get booked more often. And a quick note, if you haven't listened to our episode 1, the secret sauce to 5-star reviews, go back and check it out. That episode connects directly with this one because your guest experience and review strategy are a huge part of the algorithm and deciding whether to promote your listing.
All right, so let's jump right into it. So why does the Airbnb algorithm even matter? So at its core, Airbnb's algorithm is like a matchmaking engine. Its job is to pair guests with listings that they're most likely to book and love. Remember, Airbnb is all about making that match between the guest and the property. And if they don't think that the guest is likely to book your property, then they're not going to even show it to them.
Yeah, exactly, Luke. And the Airbnb's official documentation says that the algorithm takes into account over 100 factors, things like your pricing accuracy, the response time, the calendar activity, and guest reviews, and even how guests interact with you in your listing before they book. So it's basically one big quality filter. Airbnb wants guests to find great experiences, so it rewards hosts who consistently deliver them.
Yeah, but that's a key word there is consistency. The algorithm isn't looking for one-off amazing stays. It's looking for hosts to provide great experience over and over again and that are consistently showing up on their platform.
Yeah. So let's talk about factor number 1, which we're taglining the response time and the communication. So let's start with that. I think response time is probably one of the biggest factors, right? And critical. And Airbnb measures how quickly you respond to guests' inquiries, booking requests, and pre-stay questions. And the faster you reply, the higher your ranking. So they've even given Superhost bonuses for maintaining that 90% or higher response rate within 24 hours. But honestly, if you can reply in under an hour, you're gold.
Yeah, and it even shows right at the top of an Airbnb listing the response rate and how long it usually takes them to respond. So that's how much value Airbnb actually places on it. And let's just be real, communication is going to set the tone for the entire experience. Whether you reply quickly and the guest feels cared for and they're confident in you as a host, and if there's a long delay, they're going to get that feeling that you don't really care as much and you're less of a professional.
Right. Yeah, and I think that's a point, Luke, that you and I have worked diligently on, right? And I feel like although our messaging may be a little different in some ways, a lot of our messaging and what we've built is pretty consistent throughout a guest experience, I'll call it, right? From inquiry all the way through post checkout, right? And using automated templates for speed, but personalizing them, right? So it doesn't feel too robotic.
Absolutely. And I think in addition to communicating with the guests, via the messenger, responding to reviews and things like that are going to help bump you up and getting reviewed more. All that factors into this guest communication piece. So if we're getting reviews from our guests, we're responding to the reviews and we're messaging them consistently throughout their stay and even before their stay, that's going to help us climb in the rankings.
Yeah, great point. Let's go on to
so that leads us
to, right? Pricing. Why don't you lead us off with that one, Luke?
Sure. Pricing. If you are priced too high, Airbnb is going to bury you.
And, I think a thing here too, Luke, that I wanted to kind of hone in on, especially for our audience, if you're a new host and you have a new property that you're getting ready to come up with or to go live with, is really being diligent and thorough and thoughtful in your pricing strategy. Those first few months, right? Because your goal should be to get people to book and to get 5-star reviews. Right. Talk to me a little bit about the importance of that as a new host or a host, maybe even a seasoned host, right? But it's been a while and they're getting ready to go live with a new property.
Sure. So when I'm going live with a new property, I am not price sensitive at all. I want people in the door, and I want as many reviews as I can.
Hmm.
That first 7 to 10 reviews is where you really get off to a running start. And I would almost, let people stay for free if it meant that I was going to for sure get a review from them. Of course, I'm not going to do that, but it's that important, right?
Yeah.
We need to get people in the door and get multiple reviews back to back. And that really helps us in the Airbnb algorithm. So much so that um, as we're first starting off a property, if I get the opportunity for a direct booking, I might actually ask them to book on Airbnb, give them a discount on Airbnb.
Yeah, that's a great point, Luke. And, in thinking about this, we think about the tools that help us, right? And I still think, to your point, using our pricing tools like Price Labs to analyze the market and the seasonality and events, and integrating them is all an important part. But, take some of that at the very beginning with a little grain of salt. And to your point, like, we're not offering a free stay, but we're offering a pretty heavily discounted stay. I know for my property, White Birch, which I market as a luxury property, as an example, in summer of 2024, when I went live, I was bringing people in the door at $500 a night, which sounds expensive, right? But now, fast forward to my bookings for summer 2026 already, I'm getting nights booked between 12 and 1500 a night. But I needed to make that sacrifice in that moment to get people in the door and get them to start leaving reviews.
Absolutely. And once you're established, I think it's really important to have a good pricing strategy on Airbnb with discounts as well. So I know a lot of people will do like a week discount, but what we actually do is inside the market dashboard in Price Labs, we're looking at what the average nightly or what the average stay is. So, for example, if the average stay in a given market is 4 nights, well, we offer discounts for 5 nights and above. So we're actually taking a data-driven approach to that. And then once we get inside of our booking window, say, for example, the booking window in November in our market is about 30 days. So inside of 30 days, I'm offering discounts on everything that is not booked already. And even if it's just a 2 night stay, I'll give them 5 to 10% off of a 2 night stay, and then stagger it up all the way to the higher lengths, just to make sure that we're staying high in the search results.
Yeah, great point, Luke. So that kind of brings us to factor three, which is listing activity and freshness. So, I feel like this is an underrated one. It's an underrated activity that even myself, I definitely have guilt that I'm probably not updating it as frequently, right? But updating your listing, right? And by that, what do we mean? I'm talking about pictures, right? And it doesn't mean that you have to retake pictures or put new pictures up all the time, right? But even moving your pictures around can make a difference. And revising your listing description. Maybe it's just even moving things around. Airbnb is intuitive, right? So they can see what hosts are engaged on that platform and making updates on a more consistent basis than other hosts.
Absolutely, and I'm always updating my pictures to show what season I'm trying to book. So right now we're coming out of fall, and it's looking more and more like winter. We've got October
Mhm.
just about all booked out, so I'm starting to bring out some more pictures with snow, and just keeping all that up to date. And remember, we don't know exactly what Airbnb's algorithm rewards and doesn't, but we do know for sure 100% that they reward conversions and momentum. So if it's more likely
Yeah.
that someone is going to book because you have a nice, beautiful view of your hot tub with the snow out behind it, uh, if somebody books, then you're more likely to get another booking. And if you get another booking, then your ranking is just going to keep climbing and climbing. So maximizing your potential for conversion, um, not only will it keep your listing fresh, but it will help you climb in the rankings as well.
Yeah, when we talk about that too, it's not even just about the photos or even the descriptions, but another big one is the title, right? So, what is your title? And being thoughtful in that title, using action words, updating it with things. I originally didn't have a barrel sauna. As soon as I did, I was highlighting that in my title right away, right? And I saw a huge bump in engagement just from that barrel sauna being added in that title. I think it's gaining people to, be intrigued enough to see what it looked like. And, obviously the pictures in my first five, right? Your first five photos probably need to be your most engaged photos for that season. Because those are the first ones they're seeing on mobile and or on desktop. And that's really where they're making that decision of, am I going to read more? Am I going to look through this property more, or am I going on to the next?
Right. So your title and that one hero image are going to boost what's called your click-through rate. And then after that, it's going to come down to your time on listing and eventually your actual conversion as they go deeper and deeper into the funnel. So really your title and that hero image are the thing that really need to be 100% in order to help boost you up in the algorithm.
You got it.
Absolutely. And that, there's one thing that I've employed that has kind of helped. I just recently put all of our properties on Rank Breeze, as you know, Tyler. And Seven Pine Chalet is actually page one, spot one all week long. So apparently it works. One thing I'll do is set a reminder on my iPhone for every Friday evening at 8 p.m. To change my Airbnb listing.
That's
so
great.
whether that's
Great
just
idea.
changing the title, changing photos around, wherever it is, so you have fresh activity for the weekend, because I find that most of our bookings come in Saturday night, Sunday morning, maybe as far as into Monday morning. But I'm finding a lot of the activity happens after the weekend, and changing on Friday night seems to help.
That's a great one, Luke. I will take a note. I need to do more diligence on that for sure.
Yeah, so I think we kind of went down a rabbit hole here, but it's blended straight into our factor 4, which is the conversion rate, which is views to bookings. So we kind of already hit on this. This is basically how often guests book your property after viewing it. That is your conversion rate. So you can actually compare that in softwares like Rank Breeze, or you can actually look at it in the Insights tab on Airbnb. And the advantage to using a Rank Breeze or something like that is you can compare it to the rest of the market versus just seeing the actual numbers.
Yeah, and when you think about it, right, what is Airbnb? Airbnb is a business, right? And so they want listings that convert because that's how they make money as well. So it favors listings that are consistently leading to successful bookings and happy guests. And that's where presentation matters. Your cover photo should tell a story instantly, right? And be backed up by that engaging headline.
Absolutely. Once we get past the headline, we're going to go straight into all that copy and what they call the above the fold copy, which is like that first paragraph in the listing, and that really is your chance to get a message across to the guests, your top 5 amenities, things of that nature. Once they make the determination they're going to stay on your listing, those top 5 amenities that you can list, and maybe your next 3 to 4 photos that make up your top 5 are your chance to really sell them. So we need to be showcasing the local area, the outdoor amenities, your hero image, and then if you have one nice indoor amenity, that's another good thing to put in there as well. But for sure, we need to showcase the outdoor areas and your location.
Yeah, and Luke, I think you and I have both dabbed into this as well, right? With professional photos, obviously it's a must, right? Professional photos are a must, but even taking a notch further is, having some lifestyle photos. If you have the ability to, get some lifestyle photos, it just helps create that image and picture for people, to put themselves in your place, and experiencing those moments with their loved ones.
Absolutely. We noticed a huge tick up at our properties when we started integrating lifestyle photos. Yeah, that's great
So
advice.
factor 5, reviews and quality signals. So if you haven't yet, again, go back to episode 1, the secret sauce of 5-star reviews, because it's probably the single biggest ranking factor rather for Airbnb.
Absolutely. And Airbnb is open about it.
Yeah,
Sorry, go ahead, Tyler.
they say it, right?
Yeah. Listings with higher ratings and more positive reviews appear higher in search results. Airbnb will openly admit that, and it makes sense. Of course, they're going to reward the good hosts and the great properties with higher algorithm rankings.
Yeah, exactly. So, if you're a host that, your last couple reviews have been 4 stars instead of 5, that can drop you real fast, right? And that's why we put so much focus on, the subtle review education, the check-in messages, proactive communication, all of these which we detailed in that episode.
Absolutely. So much so that if somebody comes to me and they say that they just got a 4-star review, the first thing I'm going to tell them to do is drop their prices a little bit,
Yep,
because we need to build momentum back up and do whatever we need to do to make sure that our next few reviews are 5 stars. 2 4-star reviews is really going to hurt you in the algorithm.
for sure. For sure. So let's talk about factor 6, the calendar accuracy and the booking patterns.
Absolutely. I think, one of the biggest things that we need to be doing is making sure that our calendar is open for a year in advance. Because if Airbnb sees that your calendar is unavailable, they're going to think, well, maybe you're selling the property. Maybe you don't actually want to get booked. Maybe
Right.
it's you're not available full time. You just, open it up during the summer or something like that. I actually just started working with a revenue management client down in Florida, and they had 2 months of the winter blocked off because they had a snowbird that came in, and then they only had their calendar open for 6 months in advance.
Mm,
So of the next year, close to 9 months were booked between their own blocks, a
yikes.
snowbird, and then them just not having the calendar be available. And I couldn't even find them. And I do this every single day. I couldn't find them on Airbnb. Airbnb would not show me the listing until I zoomed way in on their neighborhood and almost got to the block that they're on, and then I finally could find it. But I went through 10
Yeah.
pages of listings and I couldn't find them.
Yeah. And that's a good point, Luke. So, as hosts, we have an obligation, and as not just hosts, but as business owners, right? You have a responsibility and accountability for your own properties, right? So, going in, to your point, checking Airbnb and seeing where your property is landing is something you should be doing weekly. If you're not, start.
Yeah, absolutely. And open up that calendar for a year, I think is not, that's almost the most easy interval to have it open because, people are worried about that maybe I won't price Thanksgiving right next year. Well, when you're starting to prep for Thanksgiving this year in your own personal life, Thanksgiving's coming up for your bookings next year. Whereas if it's 9 months or something else, that's when they really tend to sneak up on you. So I can't say it enough. Open up your calendar for a full year.
Great point. Great tip, Luke. So let's go into factor 7, the guest behavior and engagement. So, when we talk about this, most people don't even know it exists, but guest behavior signals, right? So Airbnb watches how guests interact with your listing before booking. If they click, scroll through the photos, save it on their wish list, spend more time reading, that helps you.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's why those first few photos and lines of your description can be make or break. And another thing that you might consider doing to get guests to spend more time on your listing is creating those great local guidebooks with
Hmm.
good recommendations and everything. So you actually establish yourself as a local expert, and people will spend more time on your listing, and that increases the likelihood that they'll book.
Yeah, I think of it like kind of like a social media engagement, right? So the more interaction your listing gets, the more the platform promotes it. And this is why we keep, why keeping your listing alive, updating those visuals, crafting the emotional descriptions, engaging with the guests, it matters long term.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's going to move us into our final section, which is the bonus section, superhost status. What do you think about superhost status? Did you notice anything when you became a superhost, Tyler?
Oh yeah, 100%. Superos tend to maintain, better metrics, right? And I definitely saw an uptick, not only in where I was on the listings, but my conversion rates all went significantly better. So, again, what does it take to be a super host, right? You have to be replying fast. You have to have low to almost zero cancellations. You have to have, consistent 5-star reviews. All of these feed into that algorithm and what rewards a host to become a super host. And cleanliness,
Absolutely.
for sure. Cleanliness is a
Yeah.
big.
So what do you think about the other badges that Airbnb has started rolling out? The top 5%, 1%, 10%, as well as
Yeah,
the
no,
diamond, usually
you
booked.
know, I think it's helpful. I couldn't tell you exactly how much my conversions went higher, right? Because like my White Birch property is in the top 1% in Northern Michigan. But I will say that I don't have a lot of issues booking. And it also, I would say, if anything, the one thing I've noticed is it actually has helped me as an owner and a host to actually get higher average daily rates. Again, when I first started, I was doing $500 a night in the summer. This past summer, I was averaging around $1150 a night, and in summer of 2026, right now, I'm almost averaging $1300 a night. So I do feel like it's helped continue to promote the luxury that I'm and the quality of a hosting that I'm giving to my guests.
Oh, that's incredible. Have you ever looked at going into the Airbnb Lux category out of curiosity?
It's funny you mentioned that. I tried to click in it, but it wouldn't let me do anything, and I haven't done anything more with it. But it's definitely something that I need to spend more time and diligence in looking at it, and what that entails, or what I may or may not need to do in order to get in that category.
Yeah, just curious there. That's interesting. All right, so let's kind of put a pin in it and wrap it up for this episode. We went over your response time. Keep those responses fast, ideally under an hour. Keep your pricing competitive and adaptive. Make sure you're running those specials if you need to inside of your booking window. Refresh your listing regularly. Focus on conversion. Keep track of those conversion rates, and really make a note, even if you don't subscribe to the best softwares like RankBreeze, which pictures, which cover photos, which descriptions are giving you more bookings, and maybe just keep a note of that. We always, of course, want to maintain consistent 5-star reviews. We want to have an active and accurate open calendar, and we want to keep guests engaged, both pre-booking and during their stay. Tyler, what else do you have to add?
Yeah, remember, it's not about gaming the system. It's about being a kind and active host, right? Airbnb wants to promote active, responsive, and guest-focused and consistent hosts.
Yeah, it's not gaming the system at all. It's being active in the system that's there and playing by the same set of rules that everybody gets to play in.
For sure. Well, I'll go with this. And if you're listening and you're thinking, well, this all sounds great, but I don't have the time to manage all this. That's exactly where Luke and I come in at Upstream Vacations. We're here to help vacation rental owners increase visibility, earn more 5-star reviews, and maximize their profits, all without the stress of the day-to-day management.
Absolutely, Tyler. And they can check us out at upstreamvacations.com. And on behalf of Tyler and me, thanks again for tuning into the Peak Season Podcast. If you learned something new today, be sure to share this episode, and we'd appreciate a 5-star review from you as well. Take care, everybody.
Catch you in the peak season.